What's going on, everybody? It's Sasha, your licensed real estate market expert here in Charlotte. The real estate market is on a tremendous slowdown right now. New listings are down over 28%. Pending sales are down over 6%. And closed sales are down just over 22%. Closed sale meaning you put in an offer on a property, your offer was accepted, you did your inspections, you got the loan, you closed on the home, meaning you got the keys, ownership was actually transferred over to you, which is a complete real estate transaction. Closed sales, a completed real estate transaction, is down 22%. Just over a fifth and almost a quarter of the real estate transactions last year. So listen, normally this market has been crazy. If this was the fall, if this was the winter, these numbers would shock me even during that time. But the fact that we are in June, July right now, all the numbers we go over today are going to be from the month of June. Even though it's July, we do this so we have an entire month of data compiled together so we have the most accurate information. The fact that during our peak season, June and July, where prices tend to be the highest, where the most buyers are out there because sellers know that the prices tend to be the highest, so more listings come to the market. With the new listings, so come the buyers because you have more options. Instead of having 2 or 3 homes you like during the summertime, which should be right now peak season, instead of having 2 or 3 options, you have 5 or 6 options. That's why you see a lot of buyers in this market too. But think about what I just said. The new listings are down over 28%. Closed sales are down 22%. Sellers are not selling and the buyers are starting to back out drastically. This market is something I have never seen, and I know lenders and other realtors that have been in the business longer than I have been alive, and they said it doesn't make sense. Basic economics, supply and demand, is not doing its part right now in this market. The rates are above 7% for people with really good credit scores. Even above an 800 credit score, you're still looking at rates without buy downs above 7%. That should be putting pressure on the home prices to start decreasing to make it still affordable. On the other side of that, when rates get to a low level, the home prices should be going up because you can buy more house for the money. In the last year, we've seen prices continue to go up and we've seen rates continue to go up. And my lender says she does not think that the rates are going to slow down anytime soon. I'm talking about we could be seeing these higher rates for at least another year to a year and a half, maybe until next summer. And then guess what we got coming up? We have election year coming up, which always throws some type of crazy curveball in the market. What we are going to start seeing now with these changes, with the fact that our peak season is showing fall numbers in our real estate market, you have to think, if our peak season is showing fall numbers now, what is going to happen when fall actually comes around the corner? I think inventory is going to stay low. I think the buyer demand is going to continue to essentially decline. The demand is still outweighing the supply. That's why you're still seeing the houses on the market that sell rather quickly, but you're starting to see a lot more or less of that. Today, before I did this video, I was looking at homes and there's so many nice homes on the market, depending on what price range you're looking for, that are still sitting there. We are just seeing a lot of stagnation in the real estate market right now. And there is some good news for the buyers out there because what is going to happen? I do not see sharp declines. I see very slow and steady declines to get to where the market is essentially normalized. This is going to take a long time. I'm not seeing these price reductions that people think that we're going to have. I do think we're definitely going to see the 15 to 20% market decline from our all-time highs, which we're going to go over as soon as we talk about the median price point in this video. I do see that happening, but I don't see anything happening drastically. slow and steady. And based off that note, our average sales price hit the highest we've ever had. However, our median sales price is starting to go down. And this is going to be the third month in a row that we're seeing declines in the median sales price, which in Charlotte, we haven't seen in forever. With that being said, guys, if there's anything I can ever do for you, if you have any questions for me specifically in regards to the real estate market, these numbers, neighborhoods, suburbs, zip codes, anything at all you can think of, you can always call, text, or email me anytime. All my contact information is linked down here. But we're in the strangest market right now, so you need to keep your eye out on these stats. Make sure you guys have subscribed, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Now let's dive into the actual numbers and let's see what information we come up with based off the stats. So in regards to new listings, we had 4,655 new listings in the month of June, and that is a 28.6% decrease from this time last year. I know it's 5% away from a third, but this number is mind-blowing. This is the amount of new listings that we tend to have in September, which is the start of the fall season. The fact that we're having September numbers in June is absolutely crazy. And you start to think, if we're having fall numbers in regards to activity in the month of our peak season, what is actually going to happen? So we need to keep an eye out on this to see what happens, and I'll give you my prediction a little bit later in this video. In regards to pending sales, we have 4,055 home sales pending, and that's a 6.2% decrease this time last year, and it's right around the same number of home sales pending we had in the month of May. As we're getting into the seasons, everything is essentially supposed to be going up until we get to the end of summer, and then we're supposed to have a downward trajectory. The fact that we're down from the previous month of May is also a telling sign of how the real estate market is starting to slow down. Now, closed sales is a stat that I don't normally do often, but closed sales came in at 4,161, and that's a 22.1% increase from this time last year. So 22% less people put it in an offer, went to the closing table, and received the keys to a new home. This stat is very important to pay attention to because this is over a fifth of a drop in actual closed sales. This is showing us that due to the high rates and due to the prices, that demand is starting to slow down drastically. Now let's move on to the numbers and talk about the average sales price and the median sales price. So the average sales price in the month of June came in at just under $488,000, and that is a 2.9% increase from this time last year. The YouTube Q&A live that I recently did, I told everybody that I was on that live that I was starting to see a lot more activity in the higher priced homes, $700,000-$800,000 plus. A lot more activity is happening in that price range as far as prices starting to come down a little bit. And as far as the median price point, that's also coming down, but it's staying more stable than the higher price points are. So we have a good amount of properties here in Charlotte. Obviously, I'm mentioning $700,000-$800,000 plus. Our average sales price is just under $488,000. So I feel like a lot of those houses that are listed on the higher end are bringing the average sales price up. But it's very important to pay attention to this stat and also the median sales price, which we're going to get into right now, which came in at just under $390,000. And that is a 2.5% decrease from this time last year, aka from our all-time highs of last June, where the median sales price was $400,000. So I made a real estate market update video, which I'm going to link right up here, where I was telling you guys in January and February that we are down 11% from our median sales price and our all-time highs that we had in Charlotte. I've always said I think we're going to see a 15 to 20% decline in our real estate prices once we get there. Right now, we're already at a 2.5% decrease when we're supposed to be at the peak of our market where the prices are supposed to be the highest. And last year we had an 11% decline. And guys, we're so far away from January, it's hard to think about. I think this trajectory will continue with the median sales price, especially as we head into the seasonality of the real estate market. And I think we are going to see up to 15% declines from our all-time highs this winter and then early next year in January and February. We've already seen an 11% decrease this past January and February, but now if we're already seeing a 2.5, we can only guesstimate that that is going to go even higher than it was last year, which I believe is 100% going to happen. Now let's get into days on market, which came in at 29, and that is a 107% increase from this time last year. And take a look at the 2 years prior. 2021, we had a 62% decline in days on market because homes were selling so fast. In 22, we had zero, negative. Nothing happened. The needle didn't change. Days on market was 14. Now we're over double that 14 days on market at 107% increase. And for this time of year, I know I keep saying it, I'm sorry I keep harping on it, I'm sorry I keep reiterating it, but it's so important to know this is supposed to be peak season. The most activity happening all year is supposed to be June and July, and it is not happening. It's defying what is supposed to be happening during the seasons. It's very interesting and it's so important to pay attention to, because again, if the peak season is right now, most sellers, most buyers, most transactions are happening right now, what is going to happen when seasonality gets to our slower seasons? I'm telling you, pay attention to these numbers and make sure if you have any certain specific questions, reach out to me. I'd love to chat with you further about specific areas or neighborhoods that you potentially might be interested in, to give you the exact information you need for specific areas, not just the general Charlotte market. Now let's talk about percentage of the original list price received, which came in at 98.5. And essentially what this is telling you is you can expect to pay 1.5% below the listed price of a home when you end up closing it. So this number actually decreased by 3.3% from this time last year. And again, look at 2021 and look at 2022. We had an increase in 21, and then we had very stable, steady in 22, and now we have a 3.3% decline on this number, which for June, we're not really supposed to see this. It's telling us that during our peak market, buyers are still able to get discounts off listed prices. Not every situation is the same, but in most of the Charlotte market, this is what we're seeing. So last month, I personally put 2 houses under contract. One was $5,000 above the listed price, and another one was a new construction home that I was able to get $8,000 under the listed price. So we're right around there. It's a hit or miss depending on the area that you're looking in. Last but not least, you knew what was coming up. You knew with what I said about the new listings, you knew that month supply and inventory was not going to be good. And right now we're at 1.4 months supply of inventory, which is still a 7.7% increase from this time last year. However, I was 100% wrong. I thought we would see this number shoot up closer to 2 to 2.5 months of inventory. However, due to the rates doing everything, staying very stagnant and not a lot of activity happening, this number is still at 1.4. I'm glad it's a 7% increase, but it's just not where we are supposed to be during this time. Sellers do not want to sell right now because of the high rates. If you have a 5%, a 4%, a 3% interest rate, it's very tough for you to let go. It's like having golden handcuffs. It's tough to sell that home, upgrade to most likely a bigger home, a more expensive home, and then have a 7.5% interest rate. Very unlikely, but 2 trains of thought here. Very unlikely for people to do so. Guys, call, text, or email me if there's anything I can ever do for you. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye.